Hello and welcome back. I'm Andrea and I help professionals just like you speak English with clarity, confidence, and credibility. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to say something in English, but it sounds a little too direct, a little assertive, and you're not sure whether to say it or not because you're worried that maybe you'll sound rude? You're not alone. I've had students from Germany, China, Spain tell me exactly the same thing. They say, Andrea, I want to express myself clearly, but I'm a little afraid that I'm going to offend someone. So today we're going to fix that. I'm going to show you how to speak confidently and clearly, but without offending anyone. We're going to be able to speak our minds. So let's start with the elephant in the room. English isn't always direct. In many English-speaking countries, especially the UK, people value politeness, diplomacy, and subtlety. Saying what you mean without being blunt is a very British skill, I'll admit. Now, if your native language is more direct, maybe German, Russian, even Spanish, it may seem as though you're walking on eggshells all the time. But that's normal, and it is fixable. Today, I'll share some of the exact strategies and phrases that I use with my own students to make them sound more natural, professional, and polite, while still getting their message across. So there are 5 professional strategies I want to share with you. The first is to use softness. So, if we were to say to someone, that's wrong, well, we would probably be correct, but it might hurt the person that we said it to. Instead of saying, that's wrong, we can say, I'm not sure that's quite right. Or, I think we might need to double check that. That's what we call softness, something that makes our message easier to hear, especially if we're giving feedback to someone. So these are some set phrases that you can use. I'm afraid I don't quite agree. That might be difficult to implement. That's an interesting point, but have we considered? All of these are ways to say no, but they do sound kinder. Another quick tip I'm going to give you is when you're pointing out a mistake, don't single out that person. Don't say you, say we instead. For example, maybe we missed something here instead of maybe you missed something here. Do you hear that it softens the message? Do you hear that it sounds inclusive, that we're not blaming anyone? That's what we're looking for. The second strategy is to say what you mean, but indirectly. So instead of saying, you didn't send that report, you could say, I noticed that the report hasn't been sent yet. Or, I just wanted to check if the report is on its way. So each of these 2 example sentences let the person know that they haven't sent the report yet, but we're not blaming anyone. These are what are called indirect statements. They're still clear, but instead of an accusation, we have a tone of curiosity. Why hasn't it been done? Do you understand? The third is to use hedging. Instead of saying, we should do it this way, you can say, I wonder if it might be better to... Or, would it make sense to consider... Hedging is especially useful when we're talking to senior colleagues or if we're trying to propose a new idea to a group of people. Some other useful phrases are, it could be that, one possibility might be, there's a chance that. The fourth strategy is to express disagreement agreeably. In English, it's possible to disagree, but at the same time sound pleasant. That's a good point. Another way to look at it is, I see what you're saying. My concern would be, that's true. At the same time, this technique is called the yes, but structure. But you can also replace that but in the sentence with something softer, like at the same time or on the other hand. So, yes, but, or yes, on the other hand, yes, at the same time. You understand? The fifth strategy is to make requests sound collaborative. So, instead of saying, I need this by 3 p.m., you can say, would you be able to get this to me by 3 p.m.? Or could we aim to have this ready by the afternoon? Okay, you may be asking why this matters. In English, sounding too direct makes us sound rude or bossy. even if it is that you're just trying to sound efficient. So let's practice together. I'm going to give you a phrase and then we're going to practice what we could say instead of that. Are you ready? So instead of saying you're wrong, we can say, I'm not sure that's quite right. Okay, practice with me. I'm not sure that's quite right. One more time. I'm not sure that's quite right. I don't like that idea. I can see where you're coming from. I just approach it a little bit differently. Again, I can see where you're coming from. I just approach it a little bit differently. Well done. I need this done now. Would you be able to prioritize this for me? Would you be able to prioritize this for me? Well done, you're doing great. You didn't do what I asked. It seems we may not be on the same page. Shall we go over it again? It seems we might not be on the same page. Should we go over it again? So let me tell you about a client of mine. For this story, we're going to call him Carlos. He was from Argentina and he was living in London. He was involved with finance. His English was good. In fact, it was very, very good. But he did struggle with being able to speak up in meetings. In meetings, he held back. He was afraid. He was worried that he would be misunderstood. He was worried that he might sound blunt. He could hear the different people in his office using phrases that were different to him. And well, he just didn't have the confidence, so he stayed quiet. So we worked on these exact strategies and of course some others. We worked on softening, we worked on hedging, we worked on indirect phrases, and he finally had the confidence to speak up in meetings. In fact, about maybe 3 months after we started lessons, his manager told him, I've noticed that you're speaking up much more in meetings. You're really starting to lead them. Well done. This is the power of clear, confident communication. And you can do this too. If you want to speak clearly, but never come off as rude, these are the strategies that we have in your toolkit now. Use softness. Be indirect when needed. Hedge carefully. Disagree diplomatically. Make polite requests. So, this is your challenge for this week. I want you to pick 3 of the phrases that I've used in this video, and I want you to try to use them. It could be in a meeting, it could be with colleagues, it could be with an email. You decide which ones are best for you to use. Do them, and then if you like, you can tell me how it went. Make sure to contact me if you're interested in one-to-one lessons with me. And if you're looking for more training like this, a real useful English that helps you improve your professional English, make sure to subscribe and like my video. And tell me, which phrase did you like the best? And are there any phrases that you have never heard of before? Thanks for watching, and remember, English is a skill. We train it, we use it, we don't just learn it. See you in my next video. Bye!